our Chazara of Kinyan HaMesechta on Daf Hey Amud Alef by the two dots where it says Mitzayenin et HaKevarot. We said in the Mishnah that on Chol HaMoed, Beit Din sends out messengers to be Mitzayen the Kevarot, to mark the graves. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, Remez L'tziyun Kevarot min HaTorah minai. Says Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, from where do we know in the Torah, where do we have a remez to tziyun kevarot, to this idea of marking graves? Where do we see that such a thing needs to be done from the Torah? Says Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, Talmud Lomar, it says in the Pasuk, Vera'a etzem Adam. This Pasuk is in Yecheskel. It says you're going to see an etzem Adam, bone of a person, Ubana etzel tziyun, and you'll build next to it a tziyun, some type of indicator marking that, a monument marking that it is tameh. So you see from there that you have to mark the tumah. So Amar le Ravina le Rav Ashi, says Ravina to Rav Ashi, he asked Rav Ashi when he heard about this pasuk, Ha mekami deleti Yecheskel man amar. Before Yecheskel and Avi came around, who said anything? Meaning, Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi said, where's a remez of tziyun kvarot min Torah? It sounds like it's mideoraita. And over here you see a pasuk in the Navi referencing the idea that one has to mark graves. So where do you see anything about this before Yecheskel came? So ultamech. So he responds and he says, according to what you're saying, let me give you a similar halacha. Hada Amar Rav Chisda. That halacha that we find that Rav Chisda said, Davar zeh mitorat Moshe Rabbeinu lo lamadnu, midivrei Yecheskel ben Buzi lamadnu. The following we didn't learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. We learned from Yecheskel ben Buzi. Again, from a nevuah and Yecheskel. What does the pasuk say? It says, Kol ben nechar arel lev v'arel basar lo yavo al miktashi l'sharetei. The pasuk says, anyone who is an arel lev and arel basar, they have an uncircumcised heart and uncircumcised flesh. Now this is talking about somebody who did not have brit milah. Like Rashi says, metu echav machmat milah. His brothers died from having brit milah, so this brother was patur. He didn't need to have a brit milah, but he did not have a brit milah. He says in the pasuk, he's not allowed to serve in the Beit HaMikdash. So this is a din deoraita that he's not allowed to serve in the Beit HaMikdash, and the reference is from this pasuk in Yecheskel. So similarly, ask the Gemara, Mikami deleti Yecheskel ma'anamar. Before Yecheskel came, who said? Where do you find the source? So Ella, rather, what do you have to say? Gemara gemirila ve'ate Yecheskel ve'asmecha akara. Really, we have a halacha l'moshe misinai that teaches us this halacha, that if someone is made to a echav machmat milah, if his brothers died from having brit milah, and he therefore cannot have a brit milah, he's not allowed to work in the Beit HaMikdash. And that's really halacha l'moshe misinai. The Yecheskel Hanavi saw that, he saw a pasuk that was referencing that, and he made an asmachta from that pasuk. So similarly, we want to say the same thing, says the Gemara, Hachanami, over here also, Gemara Gemiri, Lavate Yecheskel V'asmecha Akra. Really, by our halacha also that we're saying that you have to mark the graves, really it's Gemara Gemiri La, it's halacha Moshe Misinai that you need to mark the graves. Yecheskel Navi came and he was somechet on that pasuk. Okay, now we move on to other sources for tziyun kvarot. Rabbi Avau Amar Mehachar. Rabbi Avau says from here. It says v'tameh tameh yikra. The pasuk says by a metzora tameh tameh yikra, that he has to call out tameh tameh. He has to let everybody know that he's tameh. And we make a drasha tum'ah kor'alo ve'omeret lo perosh. The tum'ah has to call out and say, stay away. Meaning tameh, the tumah, tameh yikra, has to call out, I'm tameh. So from that you see that the tumah itself needs to have an indicator saying, hey, I'm tameh, don't come here. That's a reference to tziyun kvarot, to marking graves. V'chein amar Rabbi Uziel, bar berei de Rabbi Uziel Rabba, tumah kor'alo ve'omer lo perosh. Rabbi Uziel, the grandson of Rabbi Uziel, the great Rabbi Uziel, says the same thing, this drasha from this pasuk, Tum'ah korah lo v'omeret lo perosh. V'hai lahachi udata questions the Gemara. This pasuk of Tameh Tameh Yikra is coming to teach me this idea that the Tumah calls out and says, stay away, that you need to mark the graves. Hahu mebayile, you need this pasuk for something else. Lekidetanya, to teach me the following halacha. It says, V'tameh Tameh Yikra, tzarich leodia tza'aro l'rabim. He has to call out, Am Tameh, Am Tameh. We learn from there that the Mitzorah, the one who has tzarat, he has to make known his tsar, his trouble, to the public, V'rabim v'akshin alav rachamim, so that people can feel bad for him and pray for him. So the Gemara says, if that's what it's coming to teach us, that you need to publicize that your mitzorah in Ken, lichtov v'tameh yikra. It should just say, call out, tameh. Why did it say tameh twice? My v'tameh tameh, shmat mina tarti. So if it would have just said tameh yikra, I would have learned the halacha that he has to call out and say, I'm tameh, so that other people could hear and pray for him. The fact that it says v'tameh tameh yikra, we learn out a second thing, that the Tumah itself has to call out and indicate, I'm tameh, don't come here, and that's a reference to tziyun kivarot. Okay, Abaye Amar Mehacha. Abaye says we learn the concept of tziyun kivarot from here. It says v'lifnei iver lo titen mechshol. You're not allowed to put a stumbling block in front of a blind person, so you can't put a place of tumah without marking it in front of people who will not know that it's there and become tameh. Rav Papa Amar. Rav Papa says from the following pasuk, Ve'omer. The pasuk says, Amar solu penu darech. It says, make a way, make a road. Penu darech, clear out the way. So it's clear out the way to have a clear path to walk on, to make sure that you know where's tameh and where's not. Rav Chanina Amar. Rav Chanina says from the following pasuk, Harimu michshol miderech ami. Remove the michshol, the stumbling block, from the way, the path of my my nation. So you have to mark the graves to remove any stumbling blocks. Rabbi Yoshua Breder of Idi Amar, he says from here, V'hodata lahem et haderech yelechu ba. You have to show them, teach them the way that they should go, the way they should walk and travel, which derech they should go on. So you have to mark which derech, which way is tameh, so that they can know which derech they should go on. Mar Zutra Amar. Mar Zutra says from this pasuk, it says, V'hizartem et bnei Yisrael mitumatam. You have to be mazhir. You have to warn bnei Yisrael not to become tameh from the tum'ah. So that's another indication to marking kivarim. Rav Ashi Amar. Rav Ashi says, Ushmartem et mishmarti. The pasuk says you have to be shomer, guard my mishmar, my safekeeping, my Torah. Meaning, you have to make a guardian around my Torah. Asu mishmeret lemishmarti. We make a drasha, make a safekeeping, make a mishmeret, make an extra additional fence around my Torah. That's a reference also to tziyun kvarot. Make a boundary, make a fence, make a marking so that people know not to violate it. Okay. Ravina Amar. Ravina says from this pasuk, Ve'sam derech erenu beyesh elokim. Someone who places the path, he makes the correct way. Erenu beyesh elokim will show him the salvation of Hashem. Sam derech, he places the path, the appropriate path. He marks which way is the right path. Meaning he marks the tumah. Amar Rishon ben Levi. Says Rishon ben Levi, Kol Hasham or Chotav. Anyone who evaluates his ways, Zoche veroeh b'yeshuato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He zoche and he sees the Yeshua, the salvation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shneimar, it says in the pasuk, Besam derech. You place the path, the ways. Al tikri vesam ela vesham. Don't read it as sam, read it as sham, which means evaluate. So vesham derech erenu beyesh elokim. Someone who's sham, who evaluates derech, his path, his way, erenu beyesh elokim, he'll see the salvation of Hashem. Somebody who evaluates his actions and decisions and doesn't just do things impulsively. Rabbi Yanai havale ahuta almida dechol yoma hava makshile. So Ravina had this Talmid. Rabbi Yanai had this Talmid. Every day he would ask him very difficult questions. B'Shabbata derigla lo have makshile. On the Shabbat of the regel of the Chag, lo have makshile. He wouldn't ask him tough questions. Why? Because Rashi says it was everybody would come. Everybody would come for that Shabbat. The Beit Midrash would be packed. He didn't want to ask questions, tough questions that the Rav may not know, and it would be embarrassing if the Rav can't answer in front of everybody. So he wouldn't ask him the tough questions on those Shabbatot. So Kari Allah, he called upon him. Rabbi Yanai called regarding the student. He said the following pasuk: "V'sham derech erenu b'yesh Elokim." One who is sham, he evaluates his derech, meaning this student evaluated when to ask which question, and he didn't ask the tough questions when there were a lot of people there. Erenu b'yesh Elokim will show him the salvation of Hakadosh Baruch Hu.